Weirdly enough, I had a tough time putting this list together. Not because any of these movies don't deserve to be here, but because I really had to search to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Apparently the 2010s were a wasteland when it came to sci-fi horror. Weird, right? Any other decade and there would have been at least a dozen movies to choose from. Not really the case here. I'd say outside of the flicks that I mentioned today, there are like 3 others that could have made the cut. Wild that we didn't even get one per year. Sci-fi horror is so jam-packed with possibility, and the 2010s were a collection of years where digital effects were actually starting to get really good. But hey, these are all absolutely excellent movies, even if they didn't get that much attention or make that much money. They all managed to be relatively grounded too. Nothing outrageously outside of the realm of possibility. Sorry, no space dogfights or laser cutters here. Hello horror heads and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we'll be counting down the top 5 scary sci-fi horror movies from the 2010s. So grab your Astro Blasters and Astro because we're about to take a trip. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more cranium-crushing craftiness. Outstanding. Let's get going. Coming in at number 5, we've got Europa Report. A realistic found footage horror story in outer space? Count me in. I feel like obtained tape sci-fi exploration isn't done nearly as often as it could be. We get so many paranormal, demon-exploring, ghostly happening found footage tales, why not take it somewhere new every once in a while? Europa Report does just that. No paranormal activity here, and most of the bad decisions aren't totally unbelievable. What a concept. We are thrust into the story of the fictional first crewed mission to Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Of course, all sorts of stuff goes wrong on a voyage like this, but my goodness is it rough for these astronauts. You would think a contingency plan would be in place for situations like this, and well, for the most part it is, but space is cold and uncaring, and people are picked off one by the dangers of unexplored moons. Europa Report is presented as all sorts of footage cobbled together from the 9-month mission. The audience knows is doomed from the start, with ground control narrating all of the badness. It's a pretty realistic account of professional driven people in a bad situation. Even after tech fails and contact with ground control is lost, they go about their daily activities with a sense of duty. You're not getting dragged off screaming into the abyss and then making dumb choices in a panicky froth. We have everyone doing their jobs and scary stuff happening regardless. The mission chief makes hard decisions and scientists and engineers try to maximize their survivability. Nobody's messing around. That's what makes it so effective. There's nothing you see these characters do that is totally ridiculous. Even when they're doing their best and doing it competently, things go sideways. Claustrophobic and emotional, it's not full-blown terror. No jump scares here. Through routine and optimism, you get drawn in, and a sense of dread and sadness washes over you because of this. Coming in at number 4, we got Under the Skin. Speaking of slow and methodical, here's a film 10 years in the making. Jonathan Glazer's Kubrickian slow burn of a sci-fi horror is as weird as you can get with this genre. And when I say weird, I don't mean exploding butt aliens or goop pouring out of unnamed machines. Under the Skin is about a strange female alien cruising around Glasgow in a van, picking up single men and killing at will. It's a dark, seductive, and scary movie that makes Scarlett Johansson seem like a character in a movie, not just like ScarJo in a new role. There's not much in terms of story or dialogue, but it actually manages to be its strength. Under the Skin draws a lot of power from its stark imagery and constant ambiguity. It's asking a lot of questions and providing very little in terms of answers. Technically fascinating, it shifts from gorgeous panoramic shots to bits with hidden cameras capturing all the action. Aside from ScarJo, there are mostly non-professional actors employed here too. There's a strange sadness to it all, a harsh realism. Even though we're dealing with a predatory, sexually driven alien, what is Under the Skin trying to say? It's horror without a real villain, so what makes it scary? How's it approaching sexuality? Is it a fairy tale of sorts? You could have plenty of answers to these questions, but I'm not sure if they would bring you any close to a definitive truth. Under the Skin will stick with you long after reviewing, poking and prodding your brain with all sorts of new ideas. Lumbering in at number 3, we've got Ex Machina. Number 1 on our Alex Garland, Oscar Isaac 2010s horror sci-fi double feature, this brainbuster of a sci-fi thriller is one of the first A24 movies I remember wanting to see. Absolutely jam-packed with disturbing weird imagery, Ex Machina is a taut and gorgeous movie. A poor, dopey programmer is invited out to his wunderkind boss's woodsy retreat under false pretenses. It's supposed to be a relaxing week in a luxury setting, but as it turns out, this guy's got a Turing test a sexy AI robot. Not everyone's idea of a vacation, but hey, could be fun. Things get tricky quickly. Paranoia, doublethink, hidden intentions, and more. Ex Machina takes every opportunity to bend your brain and add some double-crossing elements. You never know what to think or whose side to be on. Twists and turns abound, including one of the most insane impromptu dance sessions ever put to film. It seems that everyone's just manipulating each other in this movie, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. But who comes out on top? questions of humanity, privacy in the digital age, and whether or not you can ever actually be friends with your boss are just the jumping off points in Ex Machina. And if you've never seen it, you should go watch it right now. Don't read up on it anymore, go on blind. Coming in at number 2, we got Annihilation. Number 2 on our Alex Garland, Oscar Isaac 2010's horror sci-fi double feature, Annihilation is an absolute audio-visual treat with a buttload of trippy, terrifying elements. First things first, the soundtrack is next level. The noises in this movie are beyond human comprehension, okay? They're perfect for what Garland's trying to get across. We drop in on some assault rifle armed scientists heading into the Shimmer to investigate exactly what the hell is going on in this gasoline-y hellscape. On their journey, they encounter mutating flora, fauna, and folks. And of course, the alien source of all of the happenings. Things get really spooky really fast with some absolutely insane visuals. A quick fire list of some iconic images from this movie include a skeleton bear with human screams, intestines slithering inside someone's torso, people-shaped fungi with skulls, the Technicolor gasoline-style sheen and everything, and of course, the shapeshifter itself. I don't want to go too deep here as it is a relatively recent flick and spoiling it would be a tragedy. If you've read Vandermeer's Southern Reach trilogy, you know exactly what you're getting into here. Cosmic horror, an attempt at demystifying the unexplainable through science, and a bunch of brain-breaking uncertainty. Who is real? What is real? Does anyone who went in actually make it out? Or is something else going on? Argue about these theories down in the comments. And finally at number 1, Attack the Block. This lesser-known British gem gets the top spot on today's list purely on its fun factor alone. You could show this movie to pretty much anyone who likes sci-fi, horror, or goofy comedy and score some points with them. The only criticism I can seem to find of this movie as a whole is that people really don't seem to like the kids' South London accents, to which I say, grow up, you Hollywoodized doofuses. Attack the Block stars a young John Boyega and an old Nick Frost. It also manages to be more compelling than the entire new run of Star Wars. No weird online drama surrounding it either. It's about a bunch of strange, glowy-mouthed monkey aliens crash landing in London and the group of scrappy hooligans that have to take them out. The first alien we meet is small, but they get big real quick. And these space screechers mean business. Dozens of terrifying apey things run through lower London, killing anyone they can get their claws on. This prompts the lovable bunch of miscreants to hole up in an apartment complex to fight them off, kind of giving the whole thing a Raid Redemption vibe. Soon, they get involved with a hardcore gangster, enlist the help of some goofy pot dealers, and help a nurse they had previously harassed. Improvised weapons and teenaged antics take center stage, making for some thrilling and hilarious action sequences as they fight through the London slum. The alien effects are wicked, making the most of a low budget, and the pacing is so frantic you'll forget about anything not happening immediately in front of you. Tense scenes, cool action sequences, slapstick comedy, it's all here. Attack the Block is an absolute blast, so head up to Ron's weed room, grab a seat, and watch the magic happen. So, how many of these have you seen already? Do you expect a giant sci-fi horror revolution in the coming decade? What's the best sci-fi horror you've ever seen? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more prodigious ones from the top 5 scary cosmic horror stories not written by H.P. Lovecraft. Anna here, Reksha, and Ansys Singh says me, staring into the abyss. The abyss. Hello? 911. There's a creepy man outside staring at me. Jeez. You're creepy enough to make the abyss call the fuzz? Remind me to keep some tabs on you. Ivor Clausen says, I'd have read Cypher in a heartbeat had it been called The Fun Hole. Would you be reading it for the right reasons, though? Undiddly says, no love for Ramsey Campbell and T.E.D. Klein. All sorts of love for those two. I'm just saving them for another list. Don't click my profile picture says, don't click my name. Done and done. Any other requests? And Adam Kesey says, great list. Recently got into Legati and Baron, masters of the craft. Would enjoy more videos along this line. Ask and you shall receive. In due time. Thanks for the feedback. That's all the time we have for today. Before I hop into a Brundle telepod without doing a thorough check, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more scary star people. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.